Perhaps more than any other, the sport of boxing is based upon respect. Even when two fighters have a deeply personal rivalry. Once they are done exchanging blows in the squared circle, a truce is often reached. No matter how much bad blood there is in the build-up to a contest. Ultimately, most fighters conduct themselves with professionalism before, during and after a fight, even paying tribute to their opposition following a bout. A select few warriors, though, have famously struggled to keep it professional down the years. From poor treatment of officials and journalists to antisocial behavior and even outright cheating. A number of fighters have done major damage to their reputations through some of their choices. Below is a look at 10 of the worst offenders. Money Mayweather is undoubtedly one of the finest boxers ever to grace the ring. However, he was far from the most professional. Known for his outbursts against officials and members of the media, Floyd wasn't shy about letting people know that he wasn't happy with them. Even if they were simply doing their job at the time. Mayweather ruthlessly took out Victor Ortiz, while the latter was attempting to touch gloves with him during their September 2011 fight. Afterwards, he took a swipe at HBO boxing announcer Larry Merchant. Telling the veteran, "You don't know about boxing," during an ill-tempered post-fight interview. Floyd called time on his professional career after defeating Conor McGregor in August 2017. Since that time, he has boxed in various exhibition fights around the globe, and even they haven't been without incident. In August 2024, Mayweather actually fired the referee for one of these contests mid-way through the bout. The build-up to Garcia's most recent fight with Devin Haney was marred by questions over his suitability to compete. King Ree caused a stir with a number of posts on social media which led to concerns over his mental state. That he turned up to the weigh-in seemingly drinking a beer didn't help those concerns either. The California native then proceeded to miss weight for the contest. Many assumed that the fight itself would be an easy night's work for Haney, but they were soon proven wrong. As Garcia produced a dominant performance that almost seemed too good to be true. As it turned out, it likely was. As Garcia later failed a test for performance-enhancing drugs, which saw his win overturned and earned him a one-year ban from the sport. Mayorga was undoubtedly an elite talent, winning 3 world titles across 2 weight divisions. However, he lacked any of the usual discipline you might associate with a top-level boxer. The Nicaraguan star made no secret of the fact that he drank during training and even once lit up a cigarette at a pre-fight press conference before facing Shane Mosley. Unsurprisingly, given his lifestyle choices, he frequently missed weight for fights. Mayorga was also renowned for physically provoking his opponents and their entourages outside the ring. Broner is nicknamed the Problem. And it's a moniker that sums up the issues he has had during his time in the sport. The American has been known to spoil fights with excessive clinching and has become synonymous with highly personal trash talk during his bouts. That charge can also be levied at Broner for his behavior during press conferences and post-fight interviews, where broadcasters have frequently had concerns over his language and conduct. His name value has frequently seen him land opportunities in spite of his reputation, but he has become increasingly unreliable as his career has progressed. Missing weight for contests on a number of occasions. In his prime, Haynes' fights were an occasion not to be missed. His flashy style combined with a unique charisma made him a huge box office attraction. However, the 3-time former world featherweight champion had a fair share of reliability issues as his career wore on. Frequently late to press conferences, weigh-ins, and even fights, he reportedly began to take his training less seriously as he became successful. This apparent lack of dedication was ruthlessly exposed when he suffered his first and only career defeat to Marco Antonio Barrera in April 2001. It took 13 months until he returned to the ring with a highly disappointing performance in a win against Manuel Calvo. Naz looked out of shape and disinterested as he labored to a decision victory amid a chorus of boos from fans. He never fought professionally again. Jake LaMotta's decision to deliberately lose his 1947 fight against Billy Fox marks one of the most infamous fixes in boxing history. It was even chronicled in the 1980 film Raging Bull. The mob wanted LaMotta to lose to less skilled Fox for betting reasons. In return for him taking a dive, they promised him a world title shot, which they eventually delivered on. Fans and media were immediately suspicious of the fight at the time, openly questioning Jake's lack of effort in his loss to Fox. LaMotta's willingness to agree to a fourth-round defeat undermined fans' confidence in the sport for years. One of a select few fighters who readily admitted to using performance-enhancing drugs, 8-time world champion Mosley took the banned substance THG, tetrahydrogesterone, as well as a testosterone-based ointment before his 2003 fight with Oscar de la Hoya. Mosley won a unanimous decision on the night, which still stands as a victory on his record to this day. However, he later confessed under oath that he had cheated by using the substances that were provided to him by Balco, a controversial agency that were revealed to be providing performance-enhancing drugs to athletes across multiple sports. Some 6 years after the De La Hoya fight, Mosley found himself on the opposite end of a cheating scandal as former world champion Antonio Margarito was found to have loaded his gloves with a plaster of Paris-type substance, which hardens when it dries and could be lethal to opponents, before his January 2009 showdown with Sugar Shane. The irregularity was discovered when Mosley's trainer, Nazem Richardson, noticed something unusual about the wrapping on the Mexican's hands. He quickly reported his suspicions. After inspection, officials found a white, pasty substance on Margarito's wraps, which was then tested and found to be illegal. Although Margarito would go on to have his hands re-wrapped with no additional substances on them, he did defeat Mosley by 9th-round stoppage. His reputation, though, was destroyed. He would later be banned for 1 year by the California State Athletic Commission. The controversy also called into question some of Margarito's earlier wins, although any evidence of prior cheating was long destroyed by the time he was rumbled. Mike Tyson taking a chunk out of Evander Holyfield's ear is one of the most infamous moments in boxing history. Iron Mike was getting increasingly frustrated in the third round of the pair's rematch at the MGM Grand Garden Arena in Las Vegas in June 1997, and chose to respond to his anger in the most outrageous way imaginable. Tyson lunged across the ring at his opponent, taking a chunk out of his right ear. Incredibly, after a short stoppage, the action resumed and Tyson did exactly the same thing again. This time, referee Mills Lane was forced to throw the bout out and disqualify the New York native as chaos unfolded around him. Tyson would be fined $3 million for his actions and banned from boxing in Nevada. Holyfield has since forgiven Tyson for his moment of madness. While biting off your opponent's ear is a completely unacceptable act, the actions of Luis Resto and his trainer, Panama Lewis, before his June 1983 fight with Billy Collins Jr. were so horrific they were found to be criminal. Collins Jr. was a 14-0 prospect who was expected to have a big future in the sport. According to experts at the time, he was widely expected to get the better of Resto in their bout. However, in order to give themselves an advantage, Resto and his trainer decided to take the padding out of his gloves and soak his hand wraps in plaster. This meant that every shot Resto threw had the potential to seriously injure Collins Jr., and so it proved. Collins suffered career-ending injuries in the fight, including damage to his eyes that left him with a torn iris and blurred vision. Resto's cheating was swiftly discovered at the end of the contest. But that was too late for Collins Jr., who was forced to retire and subsequently fell into a deep depression. Resto and his trainer were convicted of charges including assault, conspiracy, and criminal possession of a weapon for which they both went to prison. Tragically, Collins Jr. died in a car accident less than a year later. Those close to him believe that the injuries he suffered in the fight played a major role in his death.